I guess next in season preview list, we got the Minnesota Vikings. I I did wait till pretty late in the day to record this. I was trying to give the Vikings as much time to sign Stephon Gilmore if they were but I think I know so I'm gonna get out now. So might can't be coming out pretty kind of late in the day, but we'll see. So first, we'll start with our coaching staff. Head coach, you got Kevin O'Connell. He had a really good first year. Like considering they lost Kirk Cousins, torn ACL. They missed Jefferson for like Justin Jefferson missed like I think 7 games, but even then he was partially injured in 2 other games. So yeah, but they still had a good offense. Like he helped Josh Dobbs have some good games. He helped Mullins have some good games. He helped Jaron Hall have some good games. Like he did a lot for those quarterbacks. Offensive coordinator, you got Wes Phillips. He came over with O'Connell. He was from former assistant. He's decent. It's just hard to say because he doesn't call any plays because Connell does all that. I also forgot Connell was a big part of the Rams when they won that Super Bowl a couple years ago. He was their defensive coordinator that year. So yeah, that's it for your offensive coordinator. But now at defensive coordinator, you're going on the top defensive coordinators and Brian Flores. Like last year, this defense had barely any talent, but they still had a relatively good defense. And they dealt with some injuries. Like this team defense didn't have a lot of talent. They still don't have a ton of talent, but they did have a little. They did have some more. So yeah, this is his second year as former Dolphins head coach. He had some good years as Dolphins head coach. A lot of people were surprised when they fired him a few years ago. He's also and he spent 1 year with the Steelers. I think he was like their linebacker coach, something like that. He was one of their assistant coaches. That's every coaching staff. They got some good coach. They got pretty good head coach. Got a really good offensive coordinator. So yeah. So now let's go to your depth charts. I'm gonna say quarterback. You got probably your biggest question on this defense because you need to bring in Sam Darnold, but he has not proven anything. He's proven he's not. He has proven something. He's not a good starter. But we'll see. He never has had when he has been a consistent starter. He's never had these many good weapons. Like he did, and when he was at the Jets, he did not have a guy like Justin Jefferson or even Jordan Aston really. Definitely, they didn't have a guy like Cox. They did not have a running back like Jones. Same thing with the Panthers because CMC was only there for like half a year with them, and then even then, like they didn't have much outside of him. Like they did not have this depth of weapons. So yeah, but hopefully, but even then, like you're not. That's why fans are not counting on him being good. Just kind of being the placeholder and being fine, and then probably around the middle of the season, like probably like week 6 or 7 around there, I'd probably say JJ McCarthy hopefully will be starting. He looked good in the first preseason game, but it is preseason. It's hard to say for sure. But it sounds like it doesn't matter if he unless he just like absolutely good, great. He succeeds in all their developmental things like they gave to him. He's not going to be their starter week 1. Like they're not they don't unless Darnold is absolutely terrible. They're not starting McCarthy until he's passes everything they have for him. They're making sure he's developed how he needs to before he's a starter. Behind them, we got a fine backup in Nick Mullins. So like, it sounds like there's a chance they might have Mullins as number 2, but Mullins is not that good as a starter. So we'll see what happens there. Then you also have Jaron Hall, his former 5th or 6th round pick in 23. Did have to start a few games last year. Like this team had 4 starting quarterbacks last year: Kirk Cousins, Dobbs, Mullins, and Hall. Yeah, so say that's crazy. And Mullins and Hall are still here. Dobbs signed with the Niners. Obviously, Kirk signed with the Falcons. Yeah, I don't think Hall's will make the roster because I feel like they're gonna probably rather keep Mullins on the roster, but Hall should be practice squad guy. Then that's it for your quarterbacks. Now let's go to running backs. You got I like he's if he can stay healthy, Aaron Jones will probably be our best free agency signing from this offseason. Just because but he's going to stay healthy just because he's been really good for the Packers based off some injuries. But I also feel like Jonathan Greenyard could be another guy like that. Same with Andrew Kegel. They had some good free agency signings, so I feel like Jones has a good chance of being the number 1. He's a really good receiving back. He's a good running back. Just promise, can he stay healthy? And behind him, if he doesn't stay healthy. You got Ty Chandler. He showed some promise last year, but they didn't really give it to him as their starter much. It's like for a long time they stuck with Madison. They eventually brought in Akers. But even after Akers tore his ACL, they still went with Madison. They didn't really go with Tanner as their starter until pretty late in the year. See, so that's the preseason stats. So yeah, he barely played his rookie year, but they still Dalvin and had Madison. So yeah, he played 17 games, but he only had a little over 100 carries. He had 461 yards. He had 3 touchdowns. Then receiving wise, he had 21 catches for 159 yards and 0 touchdowns for the year. So he's good. He's like as your number two, that's really good. Like he showed he can be a good running back. Just yeah, but Jones is doing better than behind him. We got Kenny Namagnu. He's not that good of a running back, but he's a good, one of the top kick returners in the league. Like he's had some good return touchdowns, but like so yeah. Then behind them, I also got Miles Gaskin. He's a fine backup, but then you're kind of hoping no maybe, but then you also had Dwayne McBride. A lot of the guys you were high on in 2023 draft. He fell to the 7th round. He signed into Nebraska last year until they drafted him. Like I feel like there's a good chance he'll beat out Gaskin, but it's gonna be tough because they did sign Gaskin. But we'll see what happens there. So they got really good number one if you can stay healthy. They got if you don't, you have a guy who has shown he can be a starter at times. After that, you're not that great at running back. That's it. Now let's go to your wide receiver room. You got top two wideout depend. It's really close between him and Tyreek Hill. If you're basing it a lot off this last season, you're going Hill just because Justin Jefferson did have he missed a lot of games last year. But even in those games, he in only 10 games, and he missed 1.5 games because like he missed around 2 games because of injuries. We'll just say so. He really only played 8 full games, but he still had 68 catches. He had over 1,000 yards. He had 5 touchdowns. But his first 2 years, he was second in the league in receiving yards each year. This 2022, his third season, he led the league in receiving yards, and he was defensive player of the year. So he's really good. He has never dealt with injuries before, so you're hoping that's just a one-time thing. But hamstrings can linger a little bit. But let's see. Then behind them, you got Jordan Addison. He's a really good number two. But you probably aren't going to count him as number one. Problem is, he's got those legal problems. He had that DUI. He got charged with misdemeanor. So we'll see what happens there. But their court date isn't for a couple months, and most of the time with the NFL, they wait till after the court date. But even then, they usually wait till the next season. So if he does get suspended, it'll probably be 3 games. It'll probably be start next year, hopefully. So you don't really have much out of wide receiver outside Madison, but he's your number two. So it's not a huge loss because you do got Justin Jefferson. You can make up for a lot of that. He's a pretty good number two. Like he said the big time last year when Jefferson was down in some games. Like he was a big reason why the Vikings still beat the Niners last year without their best player. Brandon, you got Jalen Naylor. Sounds like he's having a really good camp. Should be the number three right out. Just he's like last year he did good preseason as well. But can he stay healthy? Like his rookie year, he only played 15 games. He missed 2. His last season, he only played 6. He missed 11. He's missed a lot of games. So can he stay healthy? But he has looked good in camp, and he looked good in first preseason games. We'll see there. But behind them, he got some depth guys. Like, you get Brandon Powell. He can be a fine number 3 wide receiver. But like you rather have a younger guy in Naylor as your number 3. But Powell can be okay. He had some decent games last year because he was your number 3 when Jefferson was down behind Addison and KJ Osborne, who's now left for the Patriots. And then we also brought in Chen Sherfield Sr. I think he was signed to a 2. I think he was. I heard on the radio the other day he was signed. I think to a 2-year deal. So you're counting him making this team. He's fine depth. And then we got another young guy, Tristan Jackson. He's had some good preseasons. He's had some good camps. He had a good first preseason game. So he should be your number 6. But last year they only carried 5 wideouts. So it's a matter of do they plan on carrying 6 wide receivers this year? So we'll see but he did come over from the Rams with Kevin O'Connell, so he has a lot of experience with O'Connell. And behind them, we got some young developmental guys: Thayer Thomas, Lucky Jackson. We'll see. Thomas Jackson's pretty old, so it's something tough for him. But Thayer Thomas, he might make like I don't think he'll be your name returner, but it's still gonna help him make team because he was your returner. He was one of the main returners in the first preseason game. But it sounds like your returners are going to be Kenyon Longnu and Brandon Powell, most likely than not. If you look here, that's what it looks like. But we'll see. But he did okay, and yeah. But that's like really the only chance he has of making this roster because they're not going to carry seven. Then you got Deshaun Jones and Malik Knowles and Ty James. Some of those guys make the roster. None of those guys are very good. That's it for our receiver room. You got two really good wideouts. So we'll see what happens to the legal things with Aston, but you got another young guy, Naylor, who could step up. You get some decent depth guys behind them. Then at tight end, you'll eventually have T.J. Hawkinson. He's ahead of schedule, but even then, he's not going to be back week one. He'll miss a few weeks. So and he would have had another his first 1,000-yard season. He would have had his first 1,000-yard season last year if it wasn't for that cheap hits against one of the Lions players. I can't remember who off the top of my head. Like he had 95 catches, he had 960 yards, he had 5 touchdowns. Like he had a really good year. But so we'll see what happens there. But he's a really good tight end. Just how can these guys behind him at tight end do? Hawkinson's out. But back at tight end, you got Josh Oliver. He's not there for perceiving. He is one of the top blocking tight ends. That's why they signed him last offseason. You're not expecting much from receiving. Problem is, you probably don't need him to do some good decent receiving because you do have Johnny Munt. He's a good number 3, but you don't want him playing much. But the O'Connell does like Munt. He has played him at times. But you also brought in Robert Tunyon. He had a couple really good years with the Packers. But these past 2 years, he has done pretty much nothing. These last 3 years, actually, he's done nothing. 2020, he had a good year with them. So we'll see if we can have a little bit of a bounce back year. But still. But then you also, behind him, you got N'Keal Harry, who you moved, the former wide receiver. He's ruined tight end this year. He has some weight. He's really he's trying to do his best to make this roster, but he's not that good. But then you also signed a UDFA in Trey Knox. He's decent. He's young along with the guy. He'll probably practice squad guy. Same with Nick Muse also. But yeah. Because I feel like Oliver, Munt, and Tunyon will be your 3 tight ends for now if you do carry 3 tight ends, or they might just carry 2 until Hawkinson gets back. I feel like Tunyon's the most likely guy to get cut or waived once Hawkinson comes back, and you need that roster spot because you don't want to carry 4 tight ends. You don't want the roster space for other players. But yeah, they got top 5 tight ends when he's back in Hawkinson. Got top fullbacks and CJ Ham, but that's not saying a ton. Now let's go to your offensive line. At tackle, you got one of the top tackle duos, and there's some Darius and Brian O'Neill, but and interior, you're not doing so good. Like you have Blake Randall, he's been a good backup, but he's never been a consistent starter. So we'll see what happens there. If he does struggle, he did bring back Dalton Rice in a 1-year deal. He's been a good start. He was a good starter for him last year, so he can be your new starting left guard. But it sounds like they're going with Brandell to be their starting left guard as of now. But we'll see. At center, you got Garrett Bradbury. He's okay center. Like he's got a lot of ups and downs. So we'll see there. Then you also have Endergrim going in his 3rd year. His former 2nd-round pick. He did better. He got a little better at the end of the year last year. So see what happens. Like you hope, but Reisner, if he does get Brandel or Ingram struggle, you can't put Reisner at either guards, and I feel like they will do that if it does happen. So now I'm not talking to you. Then also behind them interior, you got Michael Jurgens, recent draft pick. He's mainly a center, but he could be eventual starting center. I feel like he's probably gonna make this roster just because if they try to put him on the practice squad, I feel like there's a good chance somebody's gonna claim him and send him instead, and then he's not on this roster. So I feel like they're gonna do their best to keep him. They also get Dan Feeney. He's okay, but he's not that good. I also talked about Dalton Reisner. He's as a backup guard, that's really good. He's also a good starter. He's a decent starter. Yeah. They got young developmental guys behind him, and Tyrese Robinson, and Henry Bird, and Spencer Rowland. You're not expecting much out of any of those guys as of now. So first, you'll go to left tackle. You have Christian Darrisaw. Like, if it wasn't for a guy like Trent Williams, he's probably like he's probably top left tackle in the league. If not, he's for sure up. He's really high up there. It's just Trent Williams is insanely good. Does even though he's super old, he got a really high payday for he's well worth it. He was just yeah. And then behind him you drafted Walter Rouse out of Oklahoma. He's a young developmental guy. He's probably if he does eventually start in a few years for the Vikings, he's probably gonna be the right tackle. And so you let Brian O'Neill leave because he is 28, 29, so he's a little older. But like he's just a backup tackle for now. Jeremy Flax is a young developmental guy. So let's go to right tackle. You got Brian O'Neill. He's a really good right tackle. He had a little bit of down year last year, but he's still really good. So we'll see what there. But it's also like late in 2022, he dealt with a major injury that he missed their playoff game. So it's like how much of it, like, was he fully healthy for that injury? Like, he had a lot of time to recover, but it's like some guys aren't always fully recovered a year, and then the following season, if they're injured late in the previous season. So we'll see. We got David Quisenberry. He's a good backup. We also got Doug Nestor, young developmental guy. That's really it. So yeah, you got two really good tackles. You got okay guards, and you got a okay center. So like, but you make up like the main priority is having good tackles, and they got that. So that's it for your offense. Sounds good. Your defense. You have a lot of new players. Like Jared Taylor's new, Jonathan Greenard's new, Blake Cashman's new, Van Keekel's new, Shaquille Griffin is new. Like, those are all new projected starters. Like Griffin probably won't be started if they do bring in Gilmore because they love Josh Metellus as a versatile safety. He's good. But yeah, like those are all so that's five projected new starters as of now. But we'll see. So now let's start off with one of your edge rushers. You got Jared Hillary. He's okay, but he's mostly just a depth guy because you got a lot of outside linebackers that can be edged. So we'll see what happens there. And then so he's okay, but then you have James Lynch behind him. He was injured all of last year, but he's been a fine run blocker. So we'll see if we can have a bounce back here after missing all of last season. But then behind them, you also got Levi Drake Rodriguez. It sounds like a lot of people are loving him at camps. Some person compared him to like kind of. I'm not saying he's gonna be as good as John Randall, but kind of comparing him to him. Obviously, nobody's expecting him to be a Hall of Famer like Randall was, but still, sounds like he has that mentality of him. This gets however no, he's not to make this roster. He's just so far down the depth chart. And nose tackle, you slash defense tackle, you got Harrison Phillips. He's okay, but he's not. Don't be too much. But he's okay. So behind him, you got a guy that should Calvin Rowe going in the second year. So you hope he steps up and can be a little better. But James Blanchard can also play a little defensive tackle. Like he's been mainly a defensive tackle for the Vikings over his career. Then Taki Nikitimi is just a depth guy, probably not making this roster. And right defensive end, you got Jonathan Bullard. He's fine, not great. They also got Jordan Williams, who's a decent depth. They also got a former UFL player, Jalen Redmond. There's somebody tough to learn to make this roster just because they have a lot of young outside linebackers that are pass rushers. So now one of your biggest signings this year, you got Jonathan Grenard. He he had one really good year at Texans last year. So if they have another good year, we'll see about that. But like they're gonna be counting on him to replace a guy like Daniel Hunter, who was really good for the Vikings over his 8 year career with the Vikings, I think. So yeah. But opposite of him, you also Brendan Andrew Van Ginkel, who's a really good, versatile guy. He's good. But then if you also, but this is more of a rotation, like with Bernard Van Keekel, because you also got Dallas Turner as a workout year. He's one of the top defensive players from this last draft. He should be really good. You also got our rotational depth guy, Pat Jones, the second. He's perfectly fine. Behind him, you got a UDFA, who a lot of people are high on this draft. He has a good camp. You got Grayvon Murphy. Chapin was there, but then you also got your Howard. He's just depth. And you got Andre Carter second UDFA last year. A lot of people thought he had a muscle and weight because he was home army guy. They also got Owen Porter. He's fine. But I don't mention another guy they don't list on the depth chart like that high. But where is he? Oh, Richter. He had a really good first preseason game. Another UDFA out of the Air Force. We'll see what happens there. I just want to mention him. So we'll see there. So that's it for your outside linebackers. Now let's go to your middle linebackers. You have Ivan Pace Jr. He was a steal as UDFA last year. He had a really good rookie year. I feel he wasn't. He should have. I don't think he should have won Defensive Rookie of the Year, but he should have been like top five. But he wasn't. So he had a really good year. But then he brought in Minnesota, Ian Perry, Minnesota native Blake Cash. He had a good year at the Texans last year. He had a good year. So we'll see what happens there. He should be good. And then you also got Brian Osmo the second. He has not done much for them. Like last year, going into the season, they're expecting him to be the starter over Pace with Jordan Thanks to the left of the Browns. Then had dealt with a lot of injuries, so Pace took that opportunity and he ran with it. And then Brian Asamoah just did not get a chance to start again after that because we did deal with injuries. Toasty there. The also got Camille Bridger Hill. He's fine depth, backup. It's not that good. So that's it for your linebackers. Sounds like in Pace this don't be calling the plays on defense also, just so you guys know. Then now let's go to your secondary. This secondary will get a whole. Even if Gilmore doesn't have a ton left in take, it's the secondary get a whole lot. But this cornerback room get a lot better with the addition of Stephon Gilmore. So you got Byron Murphy Jr. He's a good starting cornerback, but he's not a good number. He's not a great number one corner. If he's your number two behind Gilmore, that'd be pretty good. Yes, you brought in Shaquille Griffin. He had some good years with the Seahawks, but he's not that good anymore. He got released by the Jaguars for a reason. In the slot corner, you got Josh Metellus. He's also plays some safety, but they like to play three safeties. And Harrison Smith, Cam Bynum, Josh Metellus are all pretty good safeties. So there's a reason we'll see there. Then behind them, you signed maybe Monroe like a week or two ago. He's fine. Depth, he's a good man, but he's not very good in zone coverage. So we'll see there. Oh, and then also it sounds like they are playing Jay Ward, their backup safety, at some corner. So we'll see how it's there. But then they made a recent trade. They traded Andrew Booth Jr., former second-round pick of theirs, for Nashawn Wright. It sounded like Booth wasn't to make this roster, so they're just trading him for a guy that they think has a chance of making this roster. So we'll see there. They also got J.D. Green in the second. He's okay. He's not very good, though. Got Najee Thompson. He doesn't play much corner. He's just more of a he's a really good gunner at special teams. He's a really good special teamer. That's the only reason making roster. But he's on the pup list right now. I also got Caleb Evans. He's another guy who has had some starting time, so he should be higher on the step chart over Wright, I feel like, or Green. So let's see there. This is his third year of college. Let's get Kobe Francis and Jalen Williams. Bad depth guys. Bad to make this roster. So let's go safety. I already talked. Josh Phelps isn't listed as a safety, but I already talked about him. He's mainly his main mission is safety. So starting safety, you still have Harrison Smith. He's still good, but he's not as good as he used to be. But what do you expect? He's 35. He's not very young. But he's still a really good safety. He's a good veteran for these because they got a lot of young safeties. They have still, and they also can't ban him. He's going to get a decent contract this soon, hopefully by the Vikings, because he's a free agent at the end of the season. He deserved it. You also got a young guy go to second year, Jay Ward. He didn't play a lot last year, but it sounds like he might play some corner as well. So you're hoping he can step up and play some corner. Then Theo Jackson's the other guy having a good camp. But he also brought in Bobby McCain. He's also another guy that they brought in to play some cornerback for their versatility. Rest in peace. They lost Kyrie Jackson to Hadley passed away. Then the Cat Blackman's son for the year, he tore his ACL. So Kevin's there. They also got Lucine. Sounds like it's going to be really tough for him to make this roster. Sounds like he's not making this roster from his third year's former first round pick. He's a bust. This really sucks as a Vikings fan because they could have had Kyle Hamilton if they didn't trade down to Lions that year. They did, and they got a bust in Cena instead of Hamilton. That happens, but it sucks. when you had a guy the same position and Pat wasn't available when you first don't draft and you trade down and you miss them. So for your secondary, you got three good safeties, you got one good corner, you got okay corners after that, Griffin and some depth guys. So Jim's there. And stretch teams, you drafted Will Reichard, a guy you're hoping could be your kicker of the future. Like finally solve the kicker problem. But I hope he does as a Vikings fan. But let's be honest, the Vikings are never gonna have a good kicker again. That's a point battle going on. You have Ryan Wright, Seth Vernon. Ryan Wright had a good rookie year, but then he did not have a very good year last year. But see there, Vernon's okay, but it sounds like Wright's in the front running for your starting punter. Then you got two decent returns to Paladin Nwangnu. You got a Pro Bowl long snapper, Andrew Ballard. So it's not his steal, but he do have to kind of mention that. So he's one of the top long snappers. So that's it for their depth chart. They got a really good offense, depending on how the quarterback's doing. They got a decent defense, but Flores is going to be a big upgrade for that defense. He's going to make the defense a lot better than their talent is. So then week one, you got the Giants. You should win that one. Week two, the Niners lost. Week three, Texans lost. That's part of the reason why they try their best to beat the Giants. Honestly, they want to win every game, like because after the Giants, like your next three opponents are really tough. Like it's out of your first 4 weeks, your easiest opponent is the Giants. Yeah, so you got the Niners lost, you got the Texans lost, you got the Packers. I feel like they're gonna find a way to split with the Vikings, the Packers, because it seems like they do almost every year. You should be able to beat the Jets. Buy or buy, get swept by the Lions again. You just probably will be. And you got at the Rams. I feel like at this point McCarthy probably be starting, so we'll see. But I feel like they could beat the Rams. Rams could also win. Probably listen to the Colts. Yeah, I feel like you don't win one of these two games. I feel like Jaguars more potential just because Jaguars had a bad down at second half of the year. Should beat Titans. Probably gonna split the Bears. Should beat the Cardinals. Revenge game for Kirk Cousins. But we'll see how he does. But I feel like the Vikings are going to really want to beat Kirk and show him that he shouldn't have left. It is in Minnesota. Split the fairly just probably split the Bears because the Bears got a lot better. You should be able to beat the Seahawks, and then you're probably going to lose your final two games. So they could be close to playoffs, but I don't think they're not be able to just because they have some tough teams. They got two really good teams in their division, so they're playing twice each. You got the Packers and Lions. You have to face the Niners. You have to face the Texans. Yeah. You also got two other potential playoff teams in the AFC, the Colts and Jags. You got to face the Bears, who could be good. And you also got to face the Falcons, who should also be good. So it's tough. They should not be near that. They should be top 10 like they always seem to be. So they'll probably hopefully they can draft a good one of the top corners in this next draft and see there. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Hope you have a good night.